Hi guys, welcome to Stick Grenade Studios. We're going to do a little project here. A lot of people have problems painting horses. They don't like doing it. I'm going to use the Death Korps of Krieg horses for this video right here. I'm going to start with just doing dry brushing on a base coat of matte black on the bottom. If you're not familiar with dry brushing, it is putting paint on your brush and then trying to get as much off as you possibly can and then trying to go over the horse with the highlights. Here, as you can see, I'm just painting gray. I'm just getting a dark gray base coat on the horse. That way we could start with our dry brushing. It's not a difficult technique. It's very easy. Just a little bit time consuming to paint the horse. I'm using this bigger brush. That way it covers more area. One of the things that you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure that you get this paint thin enough and not globby on the horse. If you put too much paint on the horse or on any model for that matter, it's going to show. It's going to look bad. And it's going to be more difficult to dry brush when you get it on there because there's going to be big paint globs all over the place. Don't worry about the rest of the detail on this horse. We're going to go over that later. The things like the saddle and whatnot like that. You can afford to be a little messy at this point. Basically what we're doing is we're just getting a base coat on there so we can have a color for our horse. Horses have always been difficult for me to do, basically because it's just time consuming. I've never liked painting horses until I found this method to do it. As you can see, we got the base coat, or the first coat, dry. Now we're going to go with a lighter gray, storm vermin fur. We're going to shake that up, and we're going to dry brush this on here. We're going to concentrate mostly on the bottom of the horse to start out with when we do this. As you can see, I'm just going over the top of it, just hitting those top areas. Like I said, we can afford to be a little messy here. It's not any big deal. Once you get to the point of getting the model done, you can go, oh, I dropped it there. Once you get to the point of getting the model done, you can always go back and do cleanup on this. You can add more to it if you want. This horse, as you're going to see at the end of it, probably didn't get as much gray on there as I wanted to get on there. But horses all look different. And these aren't even horses anyway. These are Death Korps of Krieg mutant things that they took horses and they made them into creatures that eat meat and pretty much are a horse times 10. So keep that in mind when you paint this. You're really not dealing with your normal earth horse here. As you can see, we got some poor video right there, but we're going to fix that over time. Maybe not drop it as much. Go over all the parts up and down, left and right, side by side. As you can see, we've got some highlights, we got some lighter color there, while keeping the dark parts as well. And then we're going to move on to a much lighter color. We're going to move on to Rakathar Flesh. I like this color. It shows the highlights really well when you get it on there. You want to make sure you get as much paint off as you can when you get light like this, unless that's the look you're going for. We're really concentrating mostly on the legs of this horse because as you see later on in the video, you're going to see where we take a red wash and we're going to put this over the bottom of the legs. It's just kind of how they look. When you're vat grown in a tank on the planet Krieg, you tend to look a little different. And so as you can see right there, we've got highlights showing. I'm just using a cheap Chinese brush that my wife got me off of Temu. So nothing fancy. I don't really take care of my brushes really well, so I tend not to spend a lot of money on them. And eventually I think every brush that you have is going to become a dry brush. So keep that in mind, especially if you're like me and you don't take care of your brushes. Like I said, talked about earlier, don't worry about the saddle right there. We've got some highlights on that, but that's going to be painted over with brown eventually. Here we're going to do a wash of the horse. Now, wash is really thin down paint. It's just going to darken things up. You can leave it light if you want to. You don't even have to use that color of wash. That's Nuln Oil, but you can use Agrax Earthshade, or you can use some other color. It's your horse. This is your project. Just because you look at the box art and it looks one way doesn't mean you have to paint it that way. Remember, you bought these miniatures. You can make them however you want. You want to make sure that you don't put too much on there. It's going to take longer to dry, and it's also going to pool in the areas, and it tends to glob up in places. Just be real careful with this, and do not dump that pot over. You're not a real painter until you've dumped a pot of Nuln Oil all down the front of your pants or all over your work desk. I can say it stains your pants. It will not come out unless you're better at doing laundry than I am. We're going to put this all over the horse. That way, when we work on it later on, we at least have some kind of wash on there. It helps with shadows. It helps with other things, making the paint pop better, depending on how light you go, depending on how dark you go. Looks like we're about ready to finish up on this. And then it's going to take about 45 minutes to dry. So you're just going to have to find something else or paint some more horses, one of the two. So now we've got it dry, and we're going to just move right back on to Storm Vermin Fur, which is that light gray again, and we're going to go over it again. Once again, we're going to dry brush. Take that dry brush. We're going to try and get as much paint off of it as we possibly can. And we're just going to go over it one more time. As you can see here, it's popping out over the black darkness of the wash. If you use too much Nuln Oil, it does tend to make it a little darker than you wanted it to, and I kind of got it a little darker than I wanted it to. But like I said earlier, not every horse is going to look the same. They're going to look different, and I would think with my army, I would want it. As you can see it right there, that's the technique for getting that paint off the brush. But I would want my horses to look a little different. You can go with white horses, you can go with brown ones. I don't know, go with green. Who knows? It's an alien world, people. Have all different colors. Make sure you take care of the mane, because that's going to come in later on when you get up there, and you're going to want to work on the head. This video that we're doing right here, this is just an easy little video just to give you an idea. Now, I talked about washing the bottom of the horse's legs. This is something that they do on Krieg horses. We're just going to go with some red wash here from Games Workshop, and we're just going to put that over the top of those legs. It gives it kind of a vat grown effect. These horses run through barbed wire, so having them bleed is not anything out of the ordinary. Go over the bottom of it, but we're going to stop at some point. I mean, we're not going to go all the way up unless you want your horse to have completely red tinted and washed legs. Just make sure you have a stopping point at it. Then once we get it washed, we're just going to let it dry. And the process kind of repeats itself. Dry brushing is one of my favorite things to do. It's come a long ways. In later videos, we're going to go over Demonettes of Slaanesh and painting white. I think painting white and using a dry brush technique is, you're probably going to get the best bang for your buck out of painting white. White is a difficult color in and of itself to paint. We're going to come back right here with the Rakathar flesh. Like I said, you can see me on the left side of the screen there, getting as much paint off of it as I possibly can. And then we're just going to go back down to the bottom of these legs. Going to make those highlights pop, the raised areas. You don't really want to get inside the raised areas. You want to leave those dark. And like I said, all this stuff can be cleaned up later on. Because we're eventually going to go, we're going to paint the claws, and we're going to paint lots of things on here. And when you do paint this, it's going to still show the red on there. You're going to see the red tinge color on there with the Rekthar flesh on the bottom, as you can see right now. The color is not really good. My lighting wasn't too good on this video, but like we said in the last video, we're learning. There we go. We can see it right there. As you can see the red tinge. You can see the dried white. Probably needs a little more work, if you ask me. Maybe a lighter color. Maybe go with white. Maybe go a darker color if you want to. But I like it. I think it turned out well. So these horses have a brand on them. The Imperium of Man, they like to brand their horses. That way they know where they came from and who did it. Just a little easy technique on doing that. Just take the lightest color you have, whether they used heat or whether they used acid or something very cold. Just get on in there and paint the numbers of that white on that brand. We can always clean it up later, so don't worry about making a mess. 930M41. I think that's the year it was probably branded. Then just go back in there with your red wash and get some off of there, because it's probably going to be a mess. And just paint those numbers and paint your brand. It should look something like that. We can always clean that up with further dry brushing and whatnot like that. Because as we're going to see right here, I'm going to take this smaller brush, the smaller dry brush that we've got, and I'm just going to go over the top of that. Leaving the red there, leaving the white there, but we're also going to cover it up with a little light gray and make it look good. Real simple, easy technique. Nothing crazy. It's really good for a beginner model maker. It'll make your models pop. Just keep at it. Add more, take less. Whatever you want to do, they're your models, remember. Remember, you're your own worst critic. A lot of people think this really looks good. Could look like that. That's one of the ones I got finished. So thanks for your time with Stick Renee Studios today. Talk to you later.